Okay, so that's running. Down here, I'm going to just do VS Code. If you prefer idle, you are perfectly willing. I mean, it's okay to do idle. Notice it always comes up with what I had last time. I'm not going to install Git right now. I might show you later in the quarter how to put things on GitHub if you want. Can you make a link to the Google Hangouts? I'm a little nervous to do that. I could. Why? Because last time it made the video almost unwatchable. Oh yeah. All right. But I will, because you need to see it. You have trouble seeing it, right? Yeah. So let's do it. What I would say is, let's not, don't everybody log in. There's a couple of problems that I need to figure out. One is that it seems to have a limit of about 25 people. So last time there were people that didn't get in. And the other thing is that every time somebody joins, it flashes their profile. The what? The Google Hangout. And it can get pretty stroby. So, but I will post it if you need it. If you have trouble seeing, then yeah, we'll do. I'll do that. So I just copied the link. Let me get into Canvas. If you're ever at home and need to get in, if you don't have the link, it's just YouTube SP Conger. So SP Conger. So let me get into the right class. And let's make a new announcement. I'll just say link for the day. Paste it. And save. So you should have it now. So I guess what I would say is if you're okay not logging in, you don't need to, but if you need to log in, do it.
I think the issue is that you're sharing the Hangouts link, so
Yeah.
you're basically like joining it with you instead of viewing the live stream.
So how do you do the live stream? Do you know how to do? You just go to my.
Yeah, you can just go to your channel, and then it should be on the channel page.
So let's go. If you go to, so let me bring up Google. So I'm gonna just go to a new page. YouTube. Yeah, so it has the live stream right here. This might actually be a better way to join.
Yeah, if you just click on that link, then you can watch it.
So go to.
See when people, I think when people are going to get in,
Right. Well, so it may be possible that if you join it here at my YouTube,
if you click that thumbnail,
yeah,
and then you go to the live stream, then you can share that URL. And that should work.
So share this URL.
Yeah.
Is this a different URL?
Yeah. It's a YouTube live stream, so it's cool.
So let's do.
I think that should work.
Okay, let me try it. So I'm going to do a second announcement. And this is the second, I'm going to say live stream link. I will try to delete these later so that they don't accumulate too much. So that should be there if you need it. And I can see the stream on my own. Is that better in terms of not pulsating? We'll have to see. Also, if you do that, I'm not sure there'll be a limit to the number of people that can watch it.
There's no room for live stream.
Yeah, so I'll do that from now on. Thank you. Do you do Hangouts? No?
No, I know there's all
Okay. I've only done it for these classes, and otherwise we just usually just.
So the way to avoid that pulsating thing is to just click on your name, and then it will only show yours.
Okay.
And with Google Hangouts, I'm not getting a delay like on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So,
There might be, if you do the live stream, it might have a delay. Is that true?
Yeah.
So it might have a little bit of a delay. If the Hangouts, if you click on my name, okay, that's either way. The only other thing I'm worried about with the Hangout is that there were people being not allowed in. But we can do a combination of these. I do want to make it easy. I know it's really hard for a lot of people to have to turn up here, turn back, turn up here, turn back. One of these days, they should get those TVs back in. All they have to do is put them up there and plug them in. But, all right. So are we ready? You guys are in and okay? And again, you don't have to use, here's the question. Let me do one other thing here. This is just, I'll see what you prefer on this. So I'm going to go to File, Preferences, Color Scheme. You guys prefer that as a, is that more readable, or you prefer the dark? You prefer the dark?
I have 3.764 bit.
So I'll go back to preferences. I'll go back to color theme. So you have all these different options. You have dark, Visual Studio, default dark. You can download other themes. Yeah. I noticed at home I had a navy blue one that was kind of pretty. I'll go to default dark.
My Python just looks like command prompt. It doesn't look like that.
So it doesn't look like
The layout? Yeah, like it just looks like that.
This is your prompt down here. I mean, this basically this is a version of that.
Okay, well, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Well, it's over here.
No, this is
Oh,
your stream.
Oh, do VS Code. I'm sorry.
Oh, VS.
You could run it as a private, but I'm sorry, my brain is not entirely here today. Yeah, Visual Studio
Oh,
Code.
Visual Studio.
And that should bring you up to where you were. And you were using it last time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it should have everything there.
Yep.
Anyone else just getting started? It takes a while to get the hang of environments and things. And when I look at the screen, when I'm looking at the Hangout, I keep thinking,
Yeah.
you. Are you guys okay? Why is that not? Look at Luke's.
This one, oh, that was the first time. That was the first example.
Well, that's the same.
Oh, wait. You have to change the. I see this.
If you didn't put a dot dot at the end of it, it doesn't know that it's Pi. It doesn't know that it's Python. Yeah.
I've never used Python before, so how do I get that?
So if you do, just click the double. Okay. That'll give that. And then over here, so let's do a new folder. So go to File. Let's do what do we want to do? New folder, open folder. Let's try open workspace. Okay. But I'm not sure that there's something there. Let's make it
Yeah, the one down below this is moved over. I think it's whatever you want. I can see that. And then do it one thing. So it also. Alright, let's just add it to. We have that one folder, alright. File. Open folder. And you see what select. And then let's just add it. So, yeah, that's a new file. Give it a name. I think we're gonna do whatever you want to do. And then do a dot plot. I didn't press enter. Now we may have to just type like print hello world. I didn't want to see if it gets the colors. You'd have to do parentheses and quotes.
I think I might know what the filter means to hang out. I
Okay.
think it's picking up people's mics,
Oh, could be.
and then Google Hangouts like autofocus the people who start talking.
So I just have to click on his name.
We might need to set up your stall or something. I found headlines recommended. And all. Yeah, so it's still flickering in. So it's installed. When it's done installing over the last year, we'll do that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the math stuff, and then I'll help you get going if you need more. So I'm going to close this, and we'll start a new one. So I'm going to just click on a new file. And I think what I'm going to do is just the count change program, which is on page 58. And use it to talk about a couple of things, which we kind of have talked about before, but I wanted to show a couple of things. So I'm going to do count change pi. All right, and basically what this does is it just counts change. So the main thing that they want to show in this is that there's two different types of numbers in Python. Most languages have dozens of different kinds of numbers. Python has two. It has int, which is a whole number with no decimal part, and it has float, which is any number that has decimals. All right? So they keep it really simple. That's nice in a lot of ways because you don't have to worry, do I want a double, do I want a decimal, do I want a float? They all have different meanings in other languages. So in this program, what they do is they basically will do a def main. Has it installed yet on there? We will usually do this. And it basically just does print change counter. So that's just to tell you what this thing is about. One of the things you can do that they do right here is you can print an empty space just to make a space. Does that make sense? It just makes an empty line space. So it's just a way of spacing things. There are ways. Towards the end of the quarter, I'll show you. You can create forms. And actually, the next chapter we deal with the graphics library. We'll let you make forms if you want that are more than just a console. Typically, when they're teaching programming concepts, though, and when we're doing it, we use the console because forms have a lot of overhead. a lot of other pieces, and this is closer to the actual core concepts of what's going on. So it's done installing. So reload. Okay. Yeah. Now, still isn't recognizing it, but we'll get it. I'll get you going here in a minute. So the next thing is print these into the coin type. So there's another type thing here that we'll actually deal with later. Actually, once the count of each coin type. So whatever's in quotes here, and again, single quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make it. It doesn't differentiate. They both work. This is a string. That's the third big case, data type basically. But we're going to talk mostly about the number ones, and I'm going to do just a few little things here just to show you. But we'll do this one program. So basically, what it's going to do. We're going to do, I'm going to make a space there. Oh, I don't know if I need one. I'm going to say quarters. They don't do 50-cent pieces. And they do eval here in the book. But later in the chapter, they change them, right? Because really what's going on here is these are integer numbers. So I'm going to change it ahead of time. And we'll just say input quarters. Okay, and then we'll do, they just do dimes, nickels, and pennies. What? This matters in terms. Oh, so this should have another paren, and it should have quotes. And there should be one more parentheses at the end of this. Right, because input is a function. And basically, in the input function, you give it a prompt. So this one will be dimes. And then, so it closes and then closes. This closes the input, this closes the dime, or the int. Nickels equals, we'll do int again. Input. How do you spell nickels? And then the last is pennies. So what this will do is it basically just totals the change. So it's just going to be total equals quarters times 25, because they're worth 25 cents, right? Plus dimes times 10 plus nickels times 5 plus pennies. Does that make sense? And again, the order of operations, it's going to do the multiplications first and then do the divisions. So then we're going to print out the total. So I'm just going to do print. So we're going to just the total value. And then I'm just going to do total. And actually, one of the things that I'm supposed to do is it's not times 25, it's times 0.25, 0.10, and 0.5. And this is there is a times here, times 0.01. Because they're doing it in dollars, right? They're parts of a dollar. So a couple of things that what they're trying to show here. These are all integers, but here we're doing integer times float, times float, times float, times float, right? Because they're they're decimals. Yeah, it is. It's 0.25, 0.10, point. Actually, you're right. It should be 0.5. Yeah, is that what you were gonna say? Because otherwise, that's a 50-cent piece. And then times 0.1. They also do a print, which we could do if we want. Oops, I don't want that out. Just for spacing. And then we have to call main, right? Who's working with it? Yeah, it is. Actually, it's colored. That's a good sign. So I'm going to just call main. And I'm going to get rid of the update statement, and then I'm just going to run this with a F5. So down at the bottom it says, please enter the count of the coin type, and it says quarters. I don't know of a way to raise this. Of course. That does this, but this. Anyway, so let's do 2 quarters, 3 dimes, how many? 1 nickel, and 7 pennies, just for an odd thing. So it's 92 cents. Is that right? 50 and 30 is 80. 5, yeah, that's correct. What? So let's see, probably one of your things doesn't have on your pennies. So times 0.1, and also make your nickels 0.5 instead of 5. All right, so it's 0.25, 0.10, 0.05, and then 0.01 times. You can move this over. Let me move this over. So the main point of this is, the float and the integer, and it always resolves to the highest type. Does that make sense to you? So float has a greater precision than integer. So if you combine a float times an integer, it always goes to a float. That's why we can have an answer like this. Did it work? So do that 5. Between that, may have been off screen. Okay, I want to do a couple of other things to this real quickly. Yeah.
When I push F5, it doesn't work. I don't know.
What if they give it error?
Yeah.
Let me see error. Let's close these out of the way first, because I just hit the X's. Not that one. These X's. And the other one. All right, so let's not look at, let's look at debug or output. Oh. All right, so let's press F5 again and see what we get. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Just to debug, start debugging, or press F5. I'll select environment. Python. Installing. All right, reload. Now, let's do. Okay, we still got an error. Quarters and input quarters. This has to have parentheses. And closing parentheses. The others look okay. Try it again. Still an error. Okay. See, this needs to be print. Yeah.
I can write it out.
Name has to go over to the side. No, the other name.
This one?
So do F5 again. Damn, I hate this thing. So it's working now.
Oh,
Anyone else? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I just learning how to use it before. There's something that-
That should be fine. That's me. Thanks. Yeah. Look, put mine over to the side. I don't know if that is, but try it again. Just do F5 local variable print. It's not a variable print.
Yeah.
Why is it that? I have an idea. Are you running in Python? Yeah, looks like so.
I wasn't ordered to install it, so I installed it just now.
Did you reload?
Can we like close it and get it?
Well, so it should be, I'm taking you might not be running, although these say Python.
There's another one that say like Python or something.
Well, Python is another, it's a
I thought that was
piece of
part of it.
Python,
That's
yeah.
what I thought.
You might like copy and paste that and then reopen a new one. Because I think it's, I actually think it's processing that Node.js or something.
I can copy what,
Wanted to show a couple other things here.
so, yeah.
I'm going to give you, for 15 years, it's on one. Change counter. Give it a- Yeah, no, just- Yeah. No, I don't have,
I'm not sure if we can do, because it's in the code.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so, but I don't know if that works for you. Well, so if you look, the reason I thought this was because it's not. Yeah. You can get an average, you get an average.
That's what I thought, that's what the second question.
Yeah.
You actually run.
And I open it. I'm not sure what to. Might want to- Yeah. All right, I'm thinking, did you do it in,
Well, let's not worry about it right now. I wanted to show you a couple of things. The point wasn't just this program in particular. Other quick questions before I move on. One of the things that I wanted to show you, notice how this has got an enormous number of decimal places. I wanted to show you that you can round these, and just to give you a hint on this, you can add, and we'll be doing this a lot at different times, but you can add other libraries. So one of the things is words is import, and what I'm going to import is math. I just want to see, I think it's capitalized, but I'm not sure. No, it's lowercase. You can tell because it's in the IntelliSense. So math is a library that you can use. As I said, one of the things that makes Python really powerful is that it has a lot of pre-built libraries. And typically, you bring them in by importing them. One of the things that's in math is I could come down here and I could do math.round. Actually, do I need, maybe round isn't in math. It could just be the round is here. And we could give it to the number of digits. So I'm going to say to 2. And then I need to close another parentheses. I'll show you the math function in a moment when we do import. But what this will do is it'll round the output down so it's only got the 2 digits here. Like typical rounding, if your end digit is 5 or greater, it rounds up. If your end digit, when you give it a limit, is 5 or 4 or less, it rounds down. So let's run this again. And I'm just going to do, I don't even remember what numbers I had last time. 2, 3, it was 1 nickel and 7 pennies, right? So notice it comes out this time instead of, it has 0.92. So it rounded it down. So there's a built-in function there. Let's do a new one. I'm going to save this. I think it is saved, but I'll save it anyway. Yeah. You didn't get the round?
Like, they worked the first time, then we're gonna support it. Yeah.
No,
There's no information.
you need one more parentheses.
Here, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's round. I'm going to open a new one. So I'm going to do, we're just going to talk a little bit about math operators and the math library. I might even do this interactive. I just wanted to show this briefly. This is everything that takes a little longer than I mean. So, question? Did you have which for, I haven't started this one to let me bring it up higher. the code. I'm going to get, did you need it? I was just going to get rid of it. I'll post it in the blog. It's also in the book. So what I'm going to do is under Python programs, I'm going to add a new file. And I'm just going to say math stuff py. Okay, so we have an empty thing here, right? So I will do the import math. I'm not going to do this is just going to be showing stuff. So one of the things that I will do is we'll say that I'm just going to call it root equals math. And in math, there is a square root. And then I'm going to open this up. And what do you want a square root of? I mean, I don't care what number. What? 1.4?
No, 140.
144 if you want. So that'd be 12, right? So if I run that, oh, I need to print it. All right, so I'm going to run that. And notice it comes up with 12, which is the correct answer. All right, so that's the math square root. And there's a lot of other, if you do the, again, if you do the math, so I'm just going to say, I'm just going to give x equals math. I'm not going to do a lot of these right now, but I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of different functions in here. There's pi, I'm not sure what POW is. NAN is not a number. POW power, so if you want to raise something to power. There's radians, remainder, sine h, square root, 10 h, tau, trunk. There's a lot of these different functions and methods available. So I just wanted to show you that. And the IntelliSense is there so you can see it. So I'm not going to do a lot with the math library. I just wanted to show that it was there. I do want to show a little bit with the math operators that we haven't done. So if you wanted this is different than other languages, but let's say we wanted an integer division. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to say quotient equals, 12 divided by 7. Now, this is a little bit weirder. There's a chart of these on page 60 if you have a book. In most languages, the way it determines if it's going to be an integer division is if both of these values are integers, is an integer division. Python makes you do 2 slashes to do an integer division. Otherwise, it will be float no matter what the numbers are. Does that make sense? So what an integer division is like 3rd grade, right? So you're going to get, if you divide 7 by 12, it'll actually come up as 1, right? Because it goes in there 1 time. And that's what the answer will be. But you can also do, I'm just going to call this variable remainder, equals 12. And this is actually called a modulus operator. This would give us a remainder, which would be 5. So I'll print out those results and we can look at it. So I'm going to say print the quotient is, and then I will do can't spell. Yeah. I don't know what to work in here. I'm going to do another comma and see if this works. May or may not. The remainder is all right. So if I do F5, right? So it gave me the 12 again, but it has the quotient is 1 and the remainder is 5. Partially, I just wanted to show you the integer division because it's a little bit weird if you've never done it. There are times when you would want to do it this way. And one of the examples, it might even be one of the peer assignments or something, is how many buses are you going to need to go somewhere? You can't divide them up into fractions, so you need to deal with them as whole. The fact that, say, every bus takes 10 people, but if you end up with 5 extra, you still need another bus, right? You don't need a half bus. So there are times when you want to use, this is like 3rd grade math, the quotient and the remainder. If you do a normal one, so let's just do a normal division. So I'll just do, I'm just going to call it result equals 12 divided by 5 with 1. You don't have to space around them, though it might be good form to do so. All right, and then I will print the result. So unlike the 1 remainder 5, this comes out as 2.4. Why does it come out as 2.4? Oh, because I did 5. Let's change this to 7. And run it again. So it's 1.714, etc. Okay, does that make sense? I'm going to comment this because I'll post this. And then I'll do, because this is basically a float division. Now in the math, there is a power function, but you can also do this by doing a double asterisk. So I'm going to say, we did a cube function, but we could do this is equal to whatever number we want, 3. Now the 3, let's do something other than 3. Let's do 4. Well, that doesn't make sense. If we'd say cube. This is the power, raise it to this power. Does that make sense? So if I print cube, we should have that as well. So there it is, 64. So that's another way, if you want to real quickly just do it. So there's a power function in math, but you can get the same thing in exponential by just doubling the absolute. Is there any other operators there that are really unusual? Everything else I think is pretty much the same. I don't know of any other language that does this, and I don't know of any other language that does this. Okay. Yeah, the modulus is the same in pretty much any language. The modulus being the percent sign there, which isn't being used as a percent, it's being used as a remainder. So questions on those? Those are the main things about the math that I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you that the math library exists, that and I wanted to show you integer divisions and regular divisions. Talk a little bit more about float and int, but as I said, it's all pretty simple. And And there's not a lot more in this chapter other than it talks about creating factorials, which is a kind of a math topic, which you can play with if you want. All right, so last thing I want to do, and then you guys can have the rest of the time to work on stuff. I want to go to the peer exercise. So let me zoom this up a little and go to assignments. And if we go down to peer exercise 2, now there's one that says it's due today. We'll do it next week. We're a little behind on these, and that's okay. This is just says to write a program, perform a unit conversion of your choosing. Now in the assignment, it was basically to turn, I think it was extra credits, miles to kilometers. But anything you want to do, gallons to liters. And if you don't know the formula, the internet has it. So what I'll do is I'll give you like 15 minutes. These are called peer because it's really good to work with a couple of other people. You should each turn in your own, and again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I don't take points off. But let's give it a few minutes and just try to do this. What are some different conversions you could think of? So there's liters and gallons. What else? Liters and feet. Yeah, liters and feet. Or meters and feet. Inches to centimeters. I can't. I don't know if it has to do with it. I think that's wrong, but it's wrong. So wrong. But yeah. You could always do like Fahrenheit to Kelvin. Kelvin is actually an interesting. Kelvin 0 is absolute 0, which means that where there's literally well below the freezing point of ice, so the death point of the universe.
Time stuff.
What?
Time stuff.
I didn't hear you.
It's one time stuff, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one time. You don't have to. So anything you want to do just as a group, it can even be, I mean, whatever you want. I just want you to do like a little tiny program just to try that. A lot of times the very first programs people write are this kind of little conversion. They can get more complicated. You know, if you're converting things that are really calculators is what they really are. So give it like 10, 15 minutes and then the rest of the time is yours. And I will stop the video. So there's like 4 people logged in. Does it,